Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm very excited to share with you because it is a collaboration. So Verity from Red Dirt and Stardust, I will of course have her linked down below, reached out to me and asked if I wanted to do a collab for Vlogmas, and I love doing collabs so much. So if any of you guys want to collab as well, just slide into my DMs. I love chatting with everyone and expanding my community. Her and I chatted back and forth trying to decide what kind of video we should do for our collab, and we decided on a seasonal palette video because Verity's actually from Australia and I'm from Canada, so we have the duality of like opposite seasons. So I'm going to be sharing with you not only just like holiday Christmassy palettes, I celebrate Christmas, that's coming up this week, which is very exciting, but also ones that will work through the winter, and Verity will be choosing seasonal palettes and they are in summer. So I just thought that this would be a really fun idea. I feel like I first discovered Verity's channel and Instagram because she participated in my graveyard project pan, I believe. And I just love making new friends and continuing friendships in this space. So thank you so much, Verity, for asking me to collaborate with you for Vlogmas. I think this is so much fun. I have, I believe, 12 palettes to share with you, maybe 13. I was just pulling palettes out. And for me, for winter palettes, I was thinking cool toned neutrals, blues and purples, and also maybe some mauve tones. I thought about pulling a pink palette or so because February is technically in winter, but then there was just a lot of palettes to share. Now my intention with this video isn't to tempt you into purchasing new palettes, but maybe me showing some color stories that I've pulled out for the season will inspire you to go look through your palettes and your collection and see if you have any similar color stories or the vibes are similar. I need to stop rambling and show you some palettes. I'm going to start off with one of my very favorite eyeshadow brands, and that's Odin's Eye, and I have 3 palettes to share with you. The first one that is very wintry is the Norns palette. Now I have the older version. They've now updated the packaging to resemble the other 2 palettes I'm going to share with you, but this one has circle pans and it no longer looks exactly like this, but this has the mauve tones, the cooler toned neutrals in here, as well as these super fun and dimensional shimmers. Lots of blues in here, and even just the packaging gives winter vibes, and I have so much fun with this palette in my collection. I'm currently working on this in my project 10 uses. Odin's Eye just has the most beautiful packaging. There's a couple more palettes I want from them, but I think I have 6 Odin's Eye palettes now, and I love them. I of course have the Merry Christmas and the Christmas Eve palettes from last year. These were re-released this year, and I'm really excited to be using these palettes during this time of year. But the Christmas Eve palette especially, I feel like, is just wintry in general. Like I said in the beginning, you're going to be seeing a lot of blues and purples. I just love this color story for this season. I live in Canada, as I said, so it's definitely cold and snowy where I live, and though winter is not my favorite, I do like doing my makeup seasonally, and this just, I think this is gorgeous. Next I have the Merry Christmas palette, and aside from the packaging obviously being very traditional Christmassy, and we do have a red and green color story, I feel like this one is a little more versatile in the seasons, and I guess we do have some pinks and reds in here that I feel like are February, wintry, Valentine's Day themed, and I love greens all year round, so I feel like this palette is a little bit more versatile year round versus just winter or just Christmas, but I think this color story is gorgeous as well. I will have any of these palettes that are available linked down below, but once again, I'm not trying to encourage you to buy the palettes that I have, but to shop your stash for some seasonal palettes that you can get some more use on that you already have in your stash. The palette I'm wearing on my eyes comes from Cosmic Brushes. I think they're trying to be Cosmic Beauty now since they're doing more eyeshadows and less makeup brushes. And this is the Serenity palette. I love how my makeup turned out today. This is definitely like a dark, wintry color story for me. I love dark, colorful matte shadows especially, and I like that even a lot of the shimmers are more like leaning mid-tone to dark, except for this top shade Opal, which my hand is blocking from you seeing. We have those blues and purples, but also some greens in here, and even this peach, which I think is a fun contrasting shade. I bought the bundle from Cosmic Beauty this summer with this palette, Muse, and Delicious Delights. I've really grown to absolutely love this formula and would love to have more palettes from them in the future, but I'm trying to behave myself. I'm going to keep going with this indie makeup train I seem to be on. I love indie eyeshadow palettes, and next I have the Nomad Snow Lodge Whistler palette. This is my first and only Nomad palette so far because I really wanted to try out the formula, and then when they released a snowy Whistler themed palette, I couldn't say no because Whistler is in Canada, so that was my reasoning. This one has blue, greens, reds, but also some neutrals over here. I used this palette a ton at the beginning of the year. I posted quite a few looks over on my Instagram too, I believe. The shade Ski Bum here, which is like a pinky to light blue duochrome, is stunning. The only shade in here that I'm not the biggest fan of is, oh, I just touched that, Very Cool, but it's just that it's a very yellow gold, which is not my favorite. But I discovered I really do enjoy the Nomad formula, and I have a couple of their palettes on my wish list as well. Let's talk about two more affordable palettes from BH Cosmetics. I feel like a lot of people already own these palettes. So first I have the Blueberry Muffin. I always keep these, I don't know why. This is Cool Tone Blue with a purple twist and neutrals. I love the more periwinkle blues in this one versus true blues, and the shimmers in here are absolutely stunning. I've had so much fun with this palette and I'm really excited to get use out of it again. And once again, we have more of like a peachy shade. This one's much lighter than the one in the Cosmic Beauty Serenity palette, but I think that's a very interesting contrast between the blue and the peach. And I can't remember a time when I've really played up that contrast. I think I mostly use this peachy shade when I'm reaching in for the more neutrals over here, but you'll have to let me know if you have any like blue peach inspired makeup looks, because now I'm thinking that could be a lot of fun. Another color I love to play with in the winter months are more berry tones. So I have the BH Cosmetics Passion in Paris palette here, and this again has blues and purples, but also with a berry twist. I'm in pulling palettes for this video, I definitely have a vibe that I'm into, and I'm personally not someone who will stray away from a palette because I have similar shades already. Clearly, I love testing different brands, different color stories, different formulas, so having all of these different formulas with blues and purples, it's just fine with me. This one, like I said, has more of this berry row here, and the purples, I don't know how to describe them exactly. Maybe a little bit more red toned, but still purple and not berry. I don't know. The undertone of the purples in this palette are a little bit different than the ones I've already shown you. And BH Cosmetics has a great eyeshadow formula. I'm really keeping my eye out for them to release something great. I know they released some cheek products and brow products and lip oils this year, right? But I want them to get back to this. Like, these palettes are so good. I have a lot of BH palettes. An indie brand I talk about a lot on my channel, as I am an affiliate for Fantasy Cosmetica. You can use my code emilynmax to save 10% off, and if you choose to use my code, I thank you so much because it really does help me out. I chose two of their palettes that I think are perfect for the winter. The first is the Rogue palette, which again, blues and purple with some deep grungy greens. This video is nothing if not repetitive. I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not, because I'm so excited to have these pulled out. I already had them like in a cute little stack on my vanity for things to choose from. What is so special about this palette are the shimmers. The shimmers in here are, I am going to refrain from swatching. I do have a full video on this palette and maybe I'll link that down below. I was drooling over these shimmers. They are so multi-dimensional, so creamy, big impact here. I think that's what Fantasy Cosmetica does really, really well, and I love this color story. But if you're more of a neutral lover, I would recommend the Fighter palette. This is a neutral palette with a bit of a twist. We have these almost blue undertone, cool tone neutrals over here, as well as this like mustardy matte shade. And once again, the shimmers in here are just so multi-dimensional and really fun. I feel like if you like deeper tones for neutrals and leaning up, like, I mean, this is a little warmer, I suppose, but these ones over here are all quite cool toned. I don't know. I think this palette is surprisingly versatile if you like deeper, grungier, neutral looks. I feel like that palette was a great segue into some more cool toned neutral palette picks. The first is a classic that I feel like almost all of us have owned or still own, the ABH Sultry palette. Mine needs more love. Mine actually isn't like all that old, considering I believe I got this like mid 2020. I mean, that's still, it's not new, but my palette isn't, you know, as old as others maybe. This is a great palette for glam makeup, glam cool tone neutral makeup, but I also feel like you can use this every day, obviously. I really like reaching for this during like holiday family dinners. If I'm not doing, I usually don't do something like this for those occasions, and I just think I always feel like I love my makeup when I use this palette, and it's more on the neutral undertone side than super cool toned like the next palette I'm going to show you. So if you're on the fence, I have more neutral leaning warm undertones, and I do feel like these cool tones are pretty flattering on me. But one that is much more cool toned, and I do love a taupe. I don't know why, I just think a taupe color is so beautiful. Even if it's not technically the most flattering on me, I wear it anyways. And I'm going to show you the Milani Soft and Sultry palette. This one is much more cool in tone than the Sultry, and I especially love these two taupey shades right here. But the mattes in this palette are really good. I feel like I don't even have any dips in this palette, which is a crime, honestly, for how much I enjoy this palette. I will definitely be pulling this one out this winter. I mean, I've already pulled them out. That's what this whole video is. Another brand I talk about quite frequently because I'm an affiliate for them is Alter Ego, and I have two palettes to share with you. Again, my code is emilynmax to save you 10%, and if you use my code, thank you so much. Very similar to the last two palettes I shared, I have the Shadow Kiss, which was inspired by the Natasha Denona Glam palette. And this one is definitely more everyday, where I feel like the ABH Sultry palette has shimmers that have a bit more of an impact, maybe a little bit more sparkly. I feel like these ones are a little more subdued, but not necessarily in like a negative way. For me, an everyday basic apply it and run out the door palette is just like this, just what I need. I don't need anything to fuss with. I don't need to worry about glitter fallout, anything like that. And once again, I really like the undertones of these. I feel like we have some more neutral leaning shades, and then also we have like the true cool tones. These ones are quite cool tone over here. And then I also have the Luster Charm palette, which was inspired by the Pat McGrath Divine Rose, which is a mauve palette, and this is another palette I got quite a bit of use out of already this year, and I really love it. The special shades in here that are like duping the Pat McGrath special shades, they're so sparkly. Some of them are so multi-dimensional. This crystal shade is like, it's almost transparent with like a really bright pink shift. I don't know, it's so interesting. Sacred over here is very glittery and metallic on the eye. The mattes blend really well. I have a great time with this palette, and I'm happy to have a less expensive option. And the last palette I wanted to share with you is certainly not available anymore, but I will definitely be pulling this out and get more use on it. And we're back into color. I should have included this earlier, but it was at the bottom of my stack. This is the Kaleidos Club Nebula palette in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. I love Angelica so much, and I have all of her collab palettes. And though this one is getting older and I've had Astro kind of explode on me, I still really love this palette. We have those cool tones, we have the blues and purples, and the shimmers in here are so beautiful. The quality I really love in this palette, and when I look in here I feel really inspired to mix and match and like experiment with my makeup, which is just something I love about Angelica as a person as well, and her channel is she always like inspires me to try something different, play with more color. Before ever watching her, I would have never reached for blue eyeshadow, and now I really like how blue looks on me. So I just feel really creative with this palette, and that's worth something as well. And I'm excited to pull this out and continue to show it some love. So that was actually 14 palettes. Apparently I don't know how to count, that I have pulled out, shopped my stash for the winter season. You'll have to let me know some of your top winter palette picks in the comments down below, as I might have some of those and would want to get some use on them this season as well. Thank you, Verity, so much for asking me to collaborate on this video once again. I had so much fun shopping my stash, and I can't wait to see which summer palette picks you have picked out. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that I know, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!